Welcome to the Blitz Growth Podcast. Listen in to learn how founders, entrepreneurs, and creators build and scale their businesses online. Let's get started.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Blitz Growth. Today we have a very impressive guest. We have Matt Parr, who is a YouTube growth master. He was making a super nice $9,000 a month at the age of 16, and now he's crushing it with YouTube ads, courses, digital products, and more, and doing over $100,000 a month. So Matt, super nice to have you here, and we're really looking forward to this episode.
For sure, yeah. Happy to be here. Happy to talk about digital products, YouTube, whatever you want to talk about, man. I'm open to it.
Nice. Well, Matt, like the reason we wanted to reach out is just because you had really impressive background story. Starting out so young. For those listening, Matt has really grown from a super early age in the YouTube platform, seeing the platform grow over time, and now he's kind of helping people teach. Now he's helping people do a similar thing by teaching the courses and digital products and stuff. So we're going to go through Matt's kind of journey to get there, what worked, what didn't work, and get a little bit of an insight as to how you guys can maybe take some of these learnings and apply them to your own channels or your own businesses. So Matt, really looking forward to this. You ready to dive in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. So first up, I would love to ask you, how did you come up? Like, how did you get started? Like, you were starting such a young age. How did this all happen?
Well, so I started YouTube back in 2014. And back at the time, I always wanted to be a YouTube star, get in front of a camera, do all that kind of stuff. But I was terrible at it. And I still don't think I'm very good, by the way, either. But back then, when I was 14, I was terrible at it. And then add on top of that, my parents didn't want me getting in front of a camera, they had concerns about that too. So all this kind of stuff added up. So I was like, I need to do I know I want to do YouTube because I see people on YouTube, living their dream lives, being able to travel full time. I don't know how they're making money, but I know they're making money doing this. I know they're, successful doing this to a degree. So I was wondering, how can I do this for myself without showing my face or anything like that? So that was kind of percolating in my mind at the time. Also, just questions about life too, what's the meaning of life? To go to college, work a 9-to-5 job for the rest of my life. I knew that's something I didn't want to do. I saw a lot of people miserable doing that. So all these things were kind of floating in my mind at that time. And at that time, I did have a YouTube channel in which I posted just random videos with my friends and stuff like that, like backyard stunts and stuff. And at the time, the videos, they didn't get many views. I wasn't expecting them to either per se, but it was disappointing uploading videos, just checking the views every day, refreshing them, see if they got any new views. And it was late 2014 when I came across a channel. It was called Top Fives. Now, Top Fives is a channel where the person who runs the channel, they don't show their face. They don't get in front of a camera or anything like that. They talk about top 5 lists of popular subjects, whether it be the top 5 scariest ghost stories or the top 5 creepiest, abandoned places in America, just stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I saw the success of this channel. It was getting millions of views per month on that channel. So I was like, I'm going to start something like this. So I started a channel kind of similar to that, not showing my face, anything like that. I was recording voiceovers, just literally just using my phone at the time and editing the videos on my computer. And I did this for a few months. Early 2015, I had my first kind of victory. I had a video get over 100,000 views in the first week. Now, there was no strategy. First week of uploading. Now, this was after a few months of uploading just tons of different random videos too.
This I would say for that channel.
First one for that channel, yeah. And this was pure luck. There was no strategy in this. I was just uploading tons of random videos. And just pure luck, it got a ton of views. And I was super excited. I remember I showed everybody on my school bus that day. And after that, then I kept doing it over time, just trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work. Later 2015, I would say mid to late 2015, I found out you can make money on YouTube, and I signed up. There's this thing called Google AdSense and the YouTube Partner Program, which YouTube will put ads on your videos. And at the time, my channel was getting 3 million views a month, that first channel. And I was making and uploading a new video every day. I wasn't focusing on school or anything like that. My parents hated it. And I was uploading tons of videos, one every single day. But I had no social life at the time either. Like I was just purely focused on this. So uploading tons of videos.
It takes a lot of dedication.
For sure, yeah. And I wasn't doing it to make money either. This was just like a game to me, like while my friends are playing video games, I was playing YouTube, So I was uploading videos all the time, found out you can make money doing this, applied for the YouTube partner program, got accepted into that. I had to get my parents to help me too, sign up for AdSense and everything because I was under 18, So once I got accepted into that, I got to the point of like making $3,000 a month. And I know that sounds like a lot. And to me at the time, that was a lot of money, like $3,000 a month from ad revenue. Looking back, that's pretty low, especially in terms of like CPM rates today and everything like that. They're typically a lot higher. And there's a lot better niches. The niche I was in at the time on that first channel, super low CPM niche. Like that's a $1 CPM, $1 per 1,000 views. But I was happy, like I was making $3,000 a month, more than all my friends, and that was a great moment. And from then on, kept doing it. Like I said, the biggest problem then, I had no social life. I had a video get 1 million views shortly after that, just one single video. I had a lot of videos not getting many views per month. Basically like 10% of the videos were getting 90% of the views. Like it goes to that whole 80-20 rule, if you're familiar with that. Yeah. Like 20% of the efforts produce 80% of the results. That's how it's always been in my YouTube business, almost in all my like endeavors online and stuff like that. So after that, the biggest problem was I didn't have time to like, spend time with my friends or focus on school or anything like that, which I didn't want to focus on school, obviously, but I didn't have any time in general. So then I started looking into how can I outsource this? How can I get other people to help me make the videos, outsource some of the team and whatnot. And I looked to online marketplaces, Upwork, Fiverr, Freelancer.com, People Per Hour, all these different places, hired a bunch of people. A lot of bad fits initially, but over time just kept hiring more people because I knew this was what I had to do. I knew that this was the next step in the business and just kept reiterating on that until I found people that worked for a price that I could afford and also provided good work, and it's a win-win situation for both of us. And over time, I would say over the next few months, now we're looking at like 2016, about early to mid 2016, I had it almost fully outsourced on that full channel. I was still coming up with the video ideas, uploading, optimizing the videos, and I still do that today as well. But I started a bunch of different channels in different niches. I actually translated that first channel into different languages as well that I don't even speak personally. Yeah, so I found people who like speak, Spanish. We have a Korean channel. We have an Arabic channel. We're starting German channel soon, Italian, all these different languages. And I don't even speak them. But today I run 9 different YouTube channels and make around $30,000 a month just from ad revenue. But also, I know we said in this podcast, we'd be talking a little bit about how I make over $100,000 a month with digital products, selling courses online. Because in the past few years, I've started a kind of a personal brand in which I teach people how they can do this themselves, how they can make money on YouTube potentially without showing their face and stuff like that. So yeah, whatever you want to get into or talk about, I'm open to it, or any questions about any of this kind of stuff, I'm down.
Yeah, sure. So a few questions came out of this. One, so you talked about the CPM and value of a niche. That's super interesting. Right. I haven't heard that before. What are some of the higher CPM niches and what are some of the lower ones, just as examples so people can kind of understand what they should be looking for?
Yeah, that's a great question. So first off, let's start with some of the lowest would be like prank channels. It would be like very general videos, maybe scary videos as well, just general entertainment as a whole, just things that aren't on a very specific niche. So when it comes to CPM, it depends on what advertisers are bidding on, what keywords that they're bidding on. So certain keywords like, like prank channels, there's not many people bidding on the keyword prank, And then on the other hand, we have the high CPM niches, and some of the highest CPM niches would include technology. One of the single biggest ad spender on YouTube, I think, is Apple, and they bid on, keywords, technology, Apple iPhone reviews, stuff like that. So you have to think about what these big advertisers are bidding on in terms of keywords, and that's going to drive the CPM up on YouTube. So technology, super high CPM. Finance as well, super high CPM. You've probably seen all those like scammy guru people advertising on YouTube. They drive the finance CPMs up quite a bit. The whole make money online niche, stuff like that. Okay. So finance, technology, both super high CPM. Makeup, surprisingly, is pretty high CPM too. There's a lot of advertisers in that.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a whole list of some of the highest CPM niches that I go over in my course as well. But I'm just trying to think of some of them off the top of my head right here. But if you want to find the high CPM niches, it really just comes down to looking up who the biggest advertisers spending or the biggest categories of spending in terms of advertising on YouTube. And those are going to be some of your high CPM niches. Investing's another one. Travel is pretty high. Not right now due to the pandemic and everything, but travel traditionally is pretty high as well. Cars, automotive industry, stuff like that. Those are all pretty high CPM niches.
Yeah, that's super interesting actually, because you don't really think about that when you go into the YouTube kind of game of creating content, videos, and that sort of thing. You don't really think about the CPM value of the content you're creating. You kind of just start out being like, okay, well, I'm going to create this because I think this is something I'm going to like doing. And then, later on, you probably go to monetize and you're like, damn it, I'm only going to get like $1 CPM on
exactly. And then you have to get millions of views, right? You have to get millions of views then to get any, anything significant in terms of a monetary reward for what you're doing. Now, there are ways also of monetizing outside of, ad revenue as well. And this is what I've really learned, especially over the past couple of years with my own digital products and promoting like affiliate products and stuff like that too. Like you can make a lot more than just ad revenue with some of these methods as well. Now, another high CPM niche that just popped in my mind as well is like health also. So anything to do with those three big niches, health, wealth, and happiness, are typically very high CPM on YouTube. That's what everybody talks about in terms of choosing a niche and whatnot. So you kind of got to think like, what are you passionate in, but also weigh out, is this going to be good monetizing? But you also have to weigh out, can I monetize in alternative ways too? Can I monetize with affiliate products? Can I monetize with my own digital products if I wanted to create them? And I know you have a pretty cool platform that allows you to do, create digital products and stuff like that as well. So just stuff to keep into consideration when you're choosing a niche, definitely. And I have a lot of YouTube videos as well on my channel, Make Money Matt, where I go over like some of the best high CPM niches, the best niches that allow you to make money potentially without showing your face, with showing your face, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of potential out there with YouTube, and it really just comes down to choosing what would work best for you and what your goals are with YouTube as well.
Nice. So guys, you heard it. Definitely check out Matt's channel if you're in the process of trying to choose a niche. And then you said the lower end is like a $1 CPM. What are some of these higher end kind of niches generating in terms of payout for advertisers?
Well, currently it's a bit crazy. Ad revenue or CPMs on YouTube are pretty high right now. Traditionally, it fluctuates throughout the year, and it obviously fluctuates depending on niches as well. So if we look at a specific niche like the skiing niche, people who are advertising on that are typically going to spend more during the winter months because that's when more people are skiing and whatnot. So typically on YouTube as a whole, though, in the latter part of the year, so like November through December, you have some of the highest CPMs on YouTube. Now, and usually there's a big decline in January because a lot of people are spending less on ads. But this year in 2021, I haven't seen that huge of a decline in CPMs across my channels. So I think a lot of advertisers are realizing like they shouldn't be, advertising in traditional ways, billboards, stuff like that. A lot of them going more online and whatnot. Yeah. But what you can expect in terms of some of these higher CPMs on different niches are, for example, in the finance niche on my channel, Make Money Matt, I have that channel monetized as well. We see anywhere from $30 to $50 per 1,000 views. Wow. Yeah, so like from 400,000 views, I think that channel is generating like $8,000 to $10,000 a month just in ad revenue. So getting way less views than my other channel that was in like the entertainment niche, yet still making more money than that channel was making at that time. And like I have channels with 500,000 subscribers, 800,000 subscribers that make less money than channels with, 10, 20,000 subscribers. And it all has to do with that niche, the CPM of the niche, and whether you're monetizing with alternative sources as well.
Yeah, that's super interesting because, that really changes the type of content you should be doing. So if you guys are thinking about your niche, think about those as some benchmarks. So, like maybe under 10 is kind of low, and then over like maybe 30 is really high. So, think about, or if you are currently running ads, not ads, if you're currently monetizing with ads, try and benchmark to see where you are.
Definitely,
you might
definitely
be.
something to take.
The other thing is like you could probably keep the same channel, but just start slightly altering the content to start hitting some of these keywords and stuff, couldn't you?
Right, you definitely could. And I've seen a lot of YouTubers out there, like even like prank YouTubers and stuff, making videos like, because they're not getting high CPM, so they do stuff that would somehow involve something financial. So like if they do like dropping $100,000 in the middle of New York City or something, just because they have keywords like dropping a bunch of money, or like keywords like money, financial, finance, stuff like that. If you can think of ways to creatively put that in your content without changing the niche, so you're not like going out in left field and getting way less views than you normally do, then yeah, you could potentially make a lot of money, make more money per se per 1,000 views from ad revenue, definitely.
Do you think that's what some of these like bigger YouTubers like Mr. Beast and Paul Logan and all these guys, do you think that's what some of these guys do? Like they slightly started at pranking and then they kind of moved into, just like the shock factor of monetary value. So I know like, Mr. Beast, the other day I saw a video of like $100,000 stake or whatever it was. Right. Is that the reason they do that, do you think, or that's not even consideration?
I think it is a consideration to a degree. Now, I know people like that, they are focused mostly on building their brand. So they're focused on getting as many views as they possibly can, because they're going to be fine from sponsorships. They're going to be fine if they, release additional products down the line, where there be merch or anything like that as well. They have additional ways of monetizing. Now, with people like Mr. Beast, per se, who do videos like that, I think that they probably break up their content strategy into a few different buckets. So they might do like brand building videos, like videos that they know are going to get a ton of views, might not make as much money, and then they might also do monetization videos, and that might only be like 25% of the content strategy, whereas the brand building is 75%. So I think they break it up into buckets. Now, I could be wrong. This is just speculation based off of what I've seen like a lot of different YouTubers do, and speaking with other YouTubers as well. But I think that they probably break it up into these buckets: brand building videos, monetization videos, and then because they want to be building the brand continually. And then if they have a small bucket of videos that also makes them money, that would be good as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So anybody else out there listening who ever has, an idea behind your channel and your content creation, maybe thinking about how you can split up those buckets. So yeah, that's super interesting. The next question I had was, so you sort of started making almost $10,000, what, kind of like the first few months of launching your first top 5 video. And then how long did it take you to kind of get over the $10,000 a month mark? Or was that kind of like super fast in like month 2?
Well, it took like over a year before I even realized that you could make money from YouTube, because I started YouTube late 2014, like early to mid 2015, I get monetized for the first time. A few months after that, making like $3,000 a month. Then we get to 2016, and that's when it really scaled up, like a lot of outsourcing stuff. I got to the point of making $9,000 a month. I couldn't really hit that 10K threshold making all the videos myself. So I got to that point, and then outsourced a lot of it, got past 10,000 a month, and just really scaled from there with multiple different channels. But what was your question again? I think I went off on a little thing.
So you almost answered, actually. So it was like you sort of started out pretty high at like, that 9,000 mark straight away after you realized that you could monetize. And then how long did it take you to get over that $10,000 mark? I think you kind of said it was just once you started outsourcing stuff and getting a better team in place to help you with the content production.
Definitely, and having multiple different flows from different channels as well, because I started making new channels in different niches, and then so having multiple different channels contributed to the growth and scaling from 3,000 a month initially to 9,000 the next year. Those were a few of the biggest things. Also, just learning what works in the niche and doubling down on it. Now, back then, I didn't know anything about CPM rates, or like that some, keywords made more money than others, that there's multiple ways of monetizing. I just thought you upload videos to YouTube, people watch them, YouTube literally just sends you paychecks. And I didn't really even understand how it worked as much as I do today. Like, I understood there's advertisers putting ads on videos, but there's so many different variables with this. Like, advertiser safe content too is a huge thing. Like, if you swear in videos, it also decreases your CPM a lot. If you have controversial keywords like I probably don't want to even say the keywords because I don't want to decrease your CPM if you're going to be posting this on YouTube. But stuff that wouldn't necessarily be safe for advertisers. You just have to think of it, is this video family friendly? And if you don't want to do that, that's no problem either. You just have to take that into consideration and know that, if my authentic self is like swearing and stuff like that, it will lower your CPM a little bit. So just good things to take into consideration, definitely.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting because I didn't realize Google was kind of like scanning all of those videos and trying to pick up on different keywords that people are saying in those videos. That's amazing, and must take so much processing power to do that.
Yeah, I don't understand how it works, but I know that they do. And I also know that if you guys wanted to scan your thumbnails to make sure that they're safe before uploading it, you can actually use a tool that Google gives you. It's called Google Cloud Vision, and it allows you to upload a thumbnail that you're thinking about, and it'll scan it to see if there's anything that could potentially be inappropriate in the thumbnail, something that they could scan as being bad. And it'll literally like scan the images in the thumbnail. And Google provides this for free, by the way, too. It's called Google Cloud Vision. And it's a pretty cool tool if you're thinking about like, is this a thumbnail, a safe thumbnail that could potentially lower my ad rates, stuff like that? You can upload it and see how it does,
Okay. Next question I had was, you talked about, one of the big tipping points for you was once you started kind of bringing in more people to help you with the workload.
Yeah.
You mentioned you were kind of hiring people from Fiverr and Upwork and those sorts of places. Knowing all of the things you know now, and if someone was in that same position, where would you recommend they go and find people to help them grow their YouTube channel? If, maybe they're at the point where it's like, okay, I just don't have enough time to dedicate to this. I need someone to help me with maybe like editing or script writing or strategy. Where would you go and hire people now?
My biggest recommendation is Upwork. That's the place I always go to. Now, there's pros and cons with Upwork. Upwork charges exorbitant fees. Like, their fees are just insanely high. So I just want to put that out there as a disclaimer. Now, what I like about Upwork, payments are all in one place. I'm not like dealing with multiple people like, oh, I got to pay this person via PayPal, then I have to go to this website, then this website. I keep it all consolidated on Upwork. I have all my messages there. You can also make group messages within Upwork as well, hiring freelancers. I make a job post. I initially try to hire someone to do the entire channel too at first. So I initially try to see if I can get someone to, typically the video creation process looks like this. It differs for different types of videos, but typically it's like you get someone to write the script for the video, and then you get someone to do a voiceover. And then after the voiceover, you get someone to edit the video. And then finally, you get someone to do the thumbnail. So there's really 4 steps that you're outsourcing right there. And if you can find someone to do all of those 4 steps, you're going to be way ahead because you only have to deal with one person, and it's going to decrease a lot of the headache. Right. Now, if you were to hire multiple people, let's say you can't find anybody who would do that at a reasonable price, then what I would recommend doing is making individual job posts for each one. And then after that, putting them all together into what's called a Trello board. Now, you're probably familiar with Trello. It's a way of systematizing workflow. And I do this for all my different YouTube channels. I have a Trello board for each channel. And then within that Trello board, I separate it into individual categories for each step in the process. So the first step is video ideas. Every time I come up with a video idea, or I do keyword research or just market research in general, I type down that video idea as a Trello card within that individual Trello board. And I know this might sound confusing, but Trello is super simple, and it's a life-saving tool, and it's free. So it's awesome. And you can add people into there. And then basically you just move it down as the video is being produced. Once you do the have the video idea, you put it into pending voiceover, which is the next category within the Trello card. The voiceover artist sees that. That's a cue for them to do the voiceover. After they're done with that, I have them upload it to Google Drive. They put the Google Drive link within that Trello card, and then they move it to pending. It starts with script initially, and then it's voiceover, and then editing, and then so on. So that's how I recommend systematizing it and whatnot. And Upwork for hiring people. And Upwork has built-in contracts as well, which is really helpful. So you don't have to be like, making different contracts with different people. But if you were to do that, LegalZoom, Rocket Lawyer are good places to get contracts for video releases, stuff like that as well.
Okay. That's really interesting that you sort of made this really nice system. And then in terms of the rest of it, you talked about the creation of it. Do you still hire people to do kind of like the promotion of it? Because I know creating the content is half the battle, and then getting it seen, promoting it, optimizing it is the other half. So are you still using those same people to promote and get the video marketed? Or are you just kind of like creating it, launching it, and you've got enough traction that it just does it itself now?
That's a great question. And that's a huge misconception on YouTube as well. Most people think videos with millions of views, they've been like just promoted so much behind it. But in all honesty, the videos that get millions upon millions of views usually get to that point as a result of YouTube pushing it in the algorithm after it hits certain benchmarks. Now, when I first started YouTube initially, I would just like go to different forums and spam the video links. I would go to Reddit and just like spam video links everywhere and just think that this was the only way to get views. I've been banned from so many different forums doing this. And it's not a good way to get views either, because if you're not posting in relevant places and adding value to those places, the people who actually are going to click to watch those videos are going to only watch a small percentage of the video. And it's going to actually hurt the video more than it helps it. So what you're going to want to do is try to hit certain benchmarks. And the benchmarks I typically recommend are a 60% average view duration on your video. And you might ask, like, how can I increase that? And I recommend trying to increase your average view duration, which is on average how long someone watches the video. Have a lot of fast cuts through the video. Always be hinting what you're going to show later in the video, early in the video. So be like, for example, at the beginning of the video, today we're taking a look at the top 5 fastest cars in the world. You will not believe the number 1 fastest car because this and this and this. And, you know, just hinting at what's going to be shown constantly, opening those loops, as I like to call it, and then closing them later in the video keeps people watching the videos for longer on average. So if you hit a high average view duration, you have your videos well optimized in terms of the tags and keywords, have related keywords on the video, have all of the videos on your channel related as well in a single niche. That way all your videos are feeding each other. If one video does take off, all your videos take off to a degree, right? And on top of that, then it comes down to having a high click-through rate as well. So making sure that people click to watch it. If no one clicks to watch the video, you don't get any views, right? Even if it's the best video in the world with a super high average view duration, that keeps people engaged.
That's a thumbnail.
Right, that's thumbnail, title. And biggest tips when it comes to thumbnails would be to just model what's working in terms of other thumbnails. See other thumbnails in your niche, model what's already worked. You can also use tools like TubeBudy if you want to split test different thumbnails as well. You can actually split test 2 different thumbnails at the same time. The one that gets a higher click-through rate will be kept. And I do this constantly on my channels as well. And that way you can just keep pushing, just keep getting the best click-through rates.
Wow, that's really interesting because, you know, one thing I did notice was, you know, I thought that there was a lot of promotion that went into this, but now you're sort of like suggesting that it's really about, you know, your video hitting those milestones and then YouTube really doing all the work. And then I suppose the more success you have, the more success YouTube will give you.
Definitely. It's like a snowball effect, and it's like exponential over time as well. And when you can get people initially to watch your content as well, obviously it gets easier over time as you get more people, more of an audience built up, because YouTube will take the initial people who watch your videos and they'll make like similar audiences of those videos and they'll keep pushing. So if your video does really good, let's say the way I always try to teach it is to get initial traction from YouTube search. And that's one of the easiest ways to get initial traffic on YouTube. So optimize your videos for YouTube search. That means clickable titles, headlines, you know, stuff like that, having good optimized tags in the description, in the title of your video, everything else. Finding those using tools like vidIQ, that's what I primarily use to find low competition and high search volume keywords that I try to rank for, making videos based around those initially. Excuse me. And then over time, having that YouTube search traffic compound onto your channel and then leveraging that to get suggested video traffic. So if you ever watch a YouTube video, you know that on the right-hand side or below YouTube videos, there's a bunch of suggested different YouTube videos. That's where you want your video going initially. So if you initially get search traffic on your video and YouTube sees that, because this is the most targeted audience that you could ever get to your video, people who search for that specific term when you watch your video. Right, so if your video does good for that audience, YouTube will push it to a little bit bigger of an audience. And if it does good for that audience, it'll just go increasingly wider and wider until it doesn't do good and it just keeps promoting to the audience that it's done good. So I've had videos, for example, get 100 views and then they die out because YouTube sees that's the max audience we can push it out to. I've also had videos get over 16 million views because YouTube sees we can just keep pushing this broader and broader and it keeps performing amazing to these audiences. And some of these, I have videos, for example, still getting 700,000 views to this day that were uploaded like 3 years ago. So
that's incredible.
Yeah, it's definitely things to keep into consideration to not only rely on having to externally promote your video in all these different places. I like to rely on YouTube promoting the videos for me, and all the biggest channels do this as well, whether it be Watch Mojo, Brightside, any of the biggest channels rely on that.
Interesting. No, it's such an interesting world. You have SEO for search engines, and then you have this completely different world of YouTube SEO.
Right.
It's funny how Google is just creating these rules that everybody is trying to gain, whether you're
Crazy.
on YouTube or on search. Okay, so next question is, after your first dollar, how long do you think it took to get to 100,000? Because I think these are the big milestones people look at when they get started. They look at the 1,000, the 10,000, the 100,000, and then after that, you obviously look at more. But I think most people are just trying to get to that 100,000 a month.
Right. So you're asking what was the how long did it take to get 100,000 a month?
Yeah, since your first kind of dollar made.
All right. So first dollar made again would be early 2015, and the first $100,000 month was April of 2020. So last year was the first $100,000 month, and I remember I did a bunch of, and the ways we were able to do that initially was with my personal brand channel. I started a personal channel where I teach people how to make money on YouTube, stuff like that. I held a bunch of live webinars as well with that personal channel. So I took organic YouTube traffic, drove it to live webinars that I held using things like Webinar Jam to host a webinar. And then from there, I sold my $497 course. Initially, now it's actually $1,000, but initially that's what it costed just for the first beta students. And we were able to get to that first $100,000 month. Now, over time, we have fluctuated quite a bit. We've been down to $60,000 a month, and we've been all the way up to $200,000 a month with a different launch that we did. So it's been up and down since then, but primarily it has been using organic YouTube traffic, but we have supplemented that with using some paid traffic as well with YouTube. And the way I approach paid traffic is a lot different than most people when it comes to YouTube also. So what I do is I retarget people who already watch my channel. So if you have a YouTube audience, you don't just think of it in terms of, I have this YouTube audience, I have to plug to them in every single video. In a lot of my videos, I stopped plugging to my course, stopped doing, shout outs to my webinar and stuff like that, because you can run a retargeting ad and it'll be the cheapest ad you ever run, the cheapest leads you'll ever get to your own audience. And you just say something along the lines of, hey, I know you watch my videos, and if you want to discover more about doing YouTube, I have a free training that you can apply to. Just click this ad and I'll show you exactly how I do it. And just ads like that, they're the best performing ads ever. I think I get leads for literally 50 cents to a few dollars, and it's the cheapest leads you'll ever get. And in turn, the highest profit leads as well, because they're people who already watch your channel. And the only other segmentation I do on those ads is only to a US audience primarily. US, first world countries, US, Australia, UK, Ireland, stuff like that. And so that's kind of the ad strategy behind that as well.
Nice, because I did have a question coming up later about ad strategy actually.
Definitely.
Okay. So that's really cool. And then in terms of subscribers for YouTube, what's the importance of subscribers? I hear YouTube is constantly saying, smash the subscriber button. Is it more subscribers or is it YouTube algorithm? And is the subscriber just that valuable? What's your opinion on it?
Well, subscribers, in my opinion, are pretty overrated. And that's because when it comes to subscribers on YouTube, it really depends on if those subscribers are even watch your videos, depending on how valuable these subscribers are to your channel. So, for instance, if you have 1 million subscribers on your channel and you post videos that 0.0001% of the subscribers watch, they're not very valuable and they're not going to actually serve you that well. In fact, having more subscribers can be detrimental to a degree if they don't actually watch your videos. Now, if they're all engaged, they're watching your videos, that's great. Having, a ton of subscribers also lets you see if a video is doing good early on. So, for example, you could post one of the best videos in the world onto your YouTube channel. If you have 0 subscribers, 0 views, it might take a little while for the YouTube algorithm to see what audience to push that video to. Now, if you optimize your video in terms of SEO and everything like that, it can tend to do good over time, a lot quicker than if you were to not optimize your video. Yeah, and it just YouTube will test your content, no matter if you optimize your content or not, to a very small audience. They might push it to 10 people and they'll see how it does. If it does good to those 10 people who they think it's a good fit for, then they'll push it to more people and more people. So if you have a bunch of subscribers, then YouTube will push it to all those subscribers, and you'll get to see really quickly, like, is this a good video? Was this video doing good? And YouTube will see very quickly as well. And if it does good to your own subscribers, chances are it'll do good in the grand scheme of the video as well. So subscribers, they're important. It's important to accumulate an audience, but not as important as a lot of people think. If you have 1 million subscribers, for instance, it also doesn't mean that you're going to make a bunch of money either. I know YouTubers with 1 million subscribers who make like less than $1,000 a month from their channel from ad revenue. So
that's because that low CPM niche, is that right?
Right, low CPM niche. That's or niche or niche. I don't know how to pronounce it completely.
I don't either. I'm from Australia, so my English is out the window. Nobody understands me.
My English is out the window for Australians, so. So yeah, subscribers, they're important, not as important as a lot of people think. That's kind of my take on it, definitely.
Okay, nice. That's really interesting because, you know, the perception is that you just need a ton of subscribers and then YouTube will work for you, when the real goal should be choosing a good niche that has good CPMs, doing your research and looking at YouTube SEO, making sure that you're putting the right content that's going to be shared and hit those milestones that you're talking about and that watch rate.
Right.
That's actually more important than the subscribers, which I think a lot of people miss, or I definitely missed, because, you know, I thought, you know, the rate that people wanted people to subscribe, and that was kind of like the number one goal for so many different people, which maybe isn't if you're looking to grow your channel.
Definitely. And having 1 million subscribers is cool. Like, I'm not going to pretend like it isn't. Like, they send you that gold play button over there when you do hit 1 million subscribers. So it obviously, stuff like that's cool, and it's cool to be able to say that. And it's also cool to get your content promoted initially to an audience that is more likely to watch your videos than another audience as well. Now, I do recommend like having a verbal call to action to subscribe in your videos as well. So like you said, a lot of YouTubers do this. They say, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like the video, leave a comment, all that kind of stuff. And I do recommend having verbal call to actions. And if you do want to increase your view to subscriber ratio, the biggest trick that I've ever done that's increased this the most is having a verbal call to action right after the intro of your video that says something along the lines of, make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave a comment below saying I subscribed, and we'll personally reply to your comment. Now you get like 2 people to do that, leave a comment saying I subscribed, and then you reply to their comments. Thanks so much for subscribing, Jimmy or Sarah. You know, you reply to them personally. People see that, even if it's a niche channel where you don't even show your face. People see that, they'll start commenting I subscribed, and it'll just be this whole snowball effect. Now, you might not want to do that on every video, but from time to time, the most amount of comments I've ever got on a video increased the engagement rate, and the most amount of subscriber to view ratio were on videos that I did that. So even if you're running faceless channel, personal channel, it can definitely help.
Yeah, and I'm sure YouTube's looking at engagement rates and all that sort of stuff, because you know, they want content that's engaging and people are actually hanging around, they're watching, they're commenting, they're talking, they're having conversations, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Same in the ad world. Okay, so a few questions around, you know, if you were to do all this again, or if you knew what you know now, and then was talking or just having a phone call with yourself, let's say 5 years ago, what are some of the biggest mistakes you would try and avoid this time around?
That's a great question. I think biggest mistakes, I mean, hindsight's always 20/20, right? So like, especially there's so many different nuanced mistakes that only apply to certain niches. There's different mistakes that apply to, depending on the type of content you're doing, all this kind of stuff. Like if I knew about high CPM, low CPM niches, I would have obviously chose a better CPM niche initially. But you know, there's pros and cons too, because usually high CPM niches, they don't get as many views as some of the low CPM niches. Like a lot of prank channels get millions upon millions of views, whereas a lot of finance channels, some of them get millions of views, some of them don't, you know? And so there's so many different nuanced stuff like that. But I think the biggest advice I'd give is to stay consistent with it. Keep trying to optimize based off of what's worked, cut out what hasn't worked. In fact, I almost quit YouTube when I was 16. I started my channel, like the views decreased 1 month, like 50%. And I was like on the verge of quitting. And I was like, Well, I still want to give this a shot. I still want to. This is my dream, you know. At the time, the channel was like almost at 100,000 subscribers as well. So I was like, I want to get that final push, 100K subs. I can get a play button like that from YouTube. They send that silver one for 100K subs, by the way. And I was like, this is the final push. You know, I just really want to get that. So we started experimenting with different types of content. We actually started making like compilations of all of our most successful videos into a single video. And not like compilation videos taking other people's videos, but compilations of our own videos that have done good, putting it together into a single video. And we did a few videos like that, as well as also experimenting with different lengths of video, experimenting with videos to try to keep people's attention with cuts every 3 seconds, you know, just really trying to keep people's attention. The next month we had our biggest month ever, millions of views in that month. Yeah. So, and ever since then, that channel's been doing really good. Obviously, there's a lot of ups and downs, but over time, you're just looking for a consistent rate of growth over time. So that's the biggest thing. And like a bad month for me now was like a great month for me, you know, a few years ago. So you just want incremental progress over time. A lot of people say like, oh, my channel just went down 20% this month, or it went up 20% this month. It's like, we're just looking for growth over time, not necessarily on a day by day or a month by month basis. And a lot of times I looked at it like that. So I think that was a mistake as well, trying to optimize for a day or a month when really it's a long-term game. Another piece of advice I would give is trying to focus more on quality. I've always been a kind of person to focus on quantity, you know, get as many videos produced as possible, when really I think it would be in my best interest to focus more so on quality. Even if it takes a few days longer or even a week to produce the best video ever, if that video gets 100K views rather than 10 videos that get 10K views, I'd rather have the 100K view video, because that video is going to continue to do good over time. Because if it gets 100K views in a week, that's incredibly good, and it's likely it's going to continue to bring in views into the future. So those are some of my biggest mistakes that I made, focusing on quantity over quality of the video. And obviously quality is subjective too. I hate when people say like quality is more important than quantity, because not necessarily. There's channels out there that do produce a lot of videos that get a lot of views. So that's not necessarily true. And also quality in terms of the YouTube algorithm is literally just defined as having a high watch time and having a high click-through rate. That's quality. So like some of the stupidest videos on YouTube get millions of views, but it's because people watch them for a long time on average, and a lot of people click them when they see them on YouTube. So definitely stuff to take into consideration. And those are some of the biggest mistakes I've made.
That's super interesting. Do you know why your channel dropped by 50%? Was it like an algorithm update or something, or like one of your videos got taken down or something?
No, it was, I think a lot of the videos I was producing on that channel were very commoditized. At the time we were producing 5-minute videos on the channel. And at the time there were tons of different competition channels popping up with frankly better videos than the ones I was producing. So, and this was at the same time I was outsourcing videos. And at the time I was paying like $30 per video, which is pretty low. That's incredibly low. So I wasn't necessarily hiring the highest quality people. And it was quite a gamble, you know, paying more per video to get the higher quality videos produced. But it turned out to be the best decision I've ever made on that channel in the long run. So I think it was kind of those videos getting commoditized, a lot of people producing those types of videos and people producing better types of videos. Another thing we did along with the compilation videos is we made each video a minimum of 10 minutes long. That, oh my God, that almost doubled the watch time as well on those videos. Just having 10-minute long videos as opposed to 5 minutes long. So I always recommend at least 8 to 12 minutes for video length.
Wow, definitely. That's interesting. Because you look at the advertising world and it's like, you know, you got to keep stuff under 30 seconds.
Right, yeah. Ads are totally different.
Yeah. So organic content, you want longer. But if you have longer content, does that mean that your watch ratio percentage is harder because someone's got to watch, you know, say 6 minutes instead of like 3 minutes?
Right, it is, and that's a great point. However, YouTube does weigh the actual percentage watched with the total amount of watch time. So they do take that into consideration, and they weigh them almost equally. So you have total watch time, and then you have average percentage watch. If it's a 1-minute video, your watch time is going to be very small, but your average percentage watch is going to be really big. So typically what I look for in the sweet spot, if you're producing 10-minute videos, shoot for a 60% average view duration. That'll be 6 minutes of watch time. And if you hit that, your video is likely to do incredibly well, especially if you can get just a decent click-through rate on that video. And for click-through rates, I recommend around 6%. If you can hit that, you're typically doing really good as well.
Okay. And the way that people improve that is they just keep testing different thumbnails, and then until you hit like that, 6+%. And then just once you find something that works, maybe it's a style, it's a template or something like that, just keep keep repeating that.
Definitely, until it doesn't work anymore, and on my channel, Make Money Matt, like you can go through my videos on my channel and you'll see you'll see when a certain thumbnail sticks because I just repeat that thumbnail over and over, and you'll just see it keep getting repeated. So definitely there's going to be a point where the thumbnail maybe gets a lower click-through rate, but then you can test new stuff, and tools like TubeBudy are great for that as well. And you don't need a tool like TubeBuddy either. You can also try split testing thumbnails, just switching out a thumbnail, going into your analytics, looking at it day by day for the click-through rate. If you see it drops on the day that you implemented that new thumbnail, put the old thumbnail back because that one was doing better. If you see it increases, keep it, and try to understand why too. Like a lot of times I test new thumbnail stuff like that, and I don't even understand why it works per se, but it really does help if you go through audience retention graphs on your video. Let's say you talk about a certain type of car in your top 10 fastest cars video, and for some reason the audience retention just spiked at that point. People were watching way more at that point. Try to take a note of that and try to mention maybe cars like that, maybe the style that you introduced the car, whatever you were saying around then. Just try to really understand it and take notes also on what's worked and what hasn't worked, as opposed to just guessing, because that way over time it's very likely you'll be successful doing this. Like I've yet to see a channel that over time, if they just keep repeating this and they stay consistent and they keep uploading new videos, like for example, going back to Mr. Beast, I think he uploaded like 800 videos on his channel. And at the time he had like less than, I could be butchering this, but I think at the time he had like less than 800 subscribers. After it might've been 100 videos on the channel, but point is he uploaded a lot of videos with very little results. And we all know how that story turned out. He just kept consistent, improved over time. And that's really the point I'm trying to get across. And also some of the top channels on YouTube, they have to upload a lot of videos before getting huge results. The average channel with 1 million subscribers has over 3,000 videos on the channel.
Wow. So you heard it, guys, 3,000 videos.
Right. So if you don't have 3K videos, don't complain about not having 1 million subscribers.
Wow. Damn, that's a lot of videos.
It is.
All right. Well, everybody's got to get started quickly.
Definitely.
And I suppose that's why, people start talking about doing daily vlogs, because that's an easy way to get a ton of videos. Because we definitely have a few friends in the travel blogging space, and a lot of the guys that did well on YouTube are the ones that just did like a daily video vlog. And then it took them 1 to 2 years before they really started hitting some of those massive numbers. And they were saying some of the main things were getting featured by Lad Bible and all those different places. Because those guys gave the daily vlogs or the trip recaps that kind of push that YouTube needed to start ranking all the rest of their videos. Super interesting. But anyway, let's jump into some of the final questions. We've gone over so much, and this is really valuable stuff. So I think everybody's going to get a huge amount of insights into this industry from this. Okay, question would be, out of all the channels you started, which was the most successful, do you think? Because I know you started a few, and one of the ones was the top 5. Is there any channel that you were like, wow, this one did so well?
Right. So I have a few surprising metrics with this that I think will kind of surprise a lot of people. So I've been running channels in English for a long time. So I've been running top 10 channels, animation channels in English, and all this kind of stuff. And I thought that was the only way to do YouTube, right? English videos, I speak English. And turns out there's this whole other world of YouTube that speaks other languages. And you can actually get your content translated into these languages as well. For pennies on the dollar, by the way. And those are my highest profit channels, because it costs me barely anything to get the videos translated. So I think the biggest thing that people are leaving on the table if they have a YouTube channel is not getting that channel translated into some of the biggest languages. And the languages I would recommend starting with, first off, no matter your niche, is first off Spanish. If you don't have a Spanish channel and you have an English channel, make sure to get a Spanish channel ASAP. Next up would be It's kind of a toss-up between a few different ones that I'm currently testing with, but I would look at some of the top channels like Brights. Are you familiar with Brightside, by the way?
Yep.
Yeah, they do like animation videos for anybody who's not familiar. On a whole skew of different topics, like I don't even know how to describe it. They just do a bunch of like viral animation videos. You guys can check them out.
I'll link to it.
Definitely. And they're the fastest growing channel on all of YouTube. I think they grew to 10 million subscribers like in a year. And they produce 6 videos a day on their channel. Yeah, and pretty good quality ones too. So what Brightside does, which is genius, they translate their channel into a bunch of different languages. And this is where I originally got the idea as well. They translate their channel into their second biggest channel, I think, is Spanish. Third biggest is Portuguese. So Portuguese might be another language you want to look at. Fourth biggest, I think, is Russian. And then they have a whole skew of other ones. Like they even have Vietnamese channels. They have a Chinese channel. They have channels in all these different languages that all are getting tens of millions of views per month. And add that up, that's hundreds of millions of views per month. That this company, the company is called The Soul Publishing, and they own and operate all these different channels. And so I started small. I started translating my channel to Spanish. That Spanish channel, within a few months, was getting more views than the original English channel. And I spent way less money too. So the biggest thing that I could recommend, if you have a channel, think about translating it into other languages. Now, obviously, there's some stuff that wouldn't work in translating to different languages. For example, if there's no talking in your videos, that could be difficult because it would just be a duplicate video that you're uploading with a different title, in which case maybe that wouldn't be a good idea. However, if you have talking in your videos and maybe you have some English chat text or titles flashing throughout your videos, it's super cheap. I pay like anywhere from $3 a minute to $5 a minute to get that channel translated, to get it voiced over, to get all the text in the video covered up with the language text that we're producing the video in. Anywhere from $3 to $5 per minute. The videos cost anywhere between $50, $100 per video to get them produced. They're super cheap, and you don't have to outsource the entire thing either. You can just outsource voiceovers, which would be, I pay around $2.50 per minute, and then it'd be like $20 a video. This is what I started doing. I would edit the videos myself, and then go into Google Translate and like take the English text, translate it to Spanish and whatnot. So I think the biggest thing I would recommend is thinking about doing multi-language channels. Definitely.
Yeah, because we use a service called Rev, and that's really cheap at translations and captions and all that sort of stuff. So I think, they can do it for a few dollars a minute. So yeah, definitely worth doing. And you also said that what's a good range for what someone should spend on a video? Someone who's maybe maybe getting a few thousand views and they're currently doing it themselves and thinking about outsourcing it. What's kind of a good average cost per video? Because I've seen some other YouTubers that spend thousands of dollars per video, but that's kind of not your average video, is it?
No, it's not. And yeah, it definitely depends on the types of videos you're producing. I actually have a little cheat sheet right here that I give to members of the course of how much to spend per video. I'm going to pull that up to see what's some of the best, how much you should spend per video. Let me see. How much to pay for video creation. Here we go. So
anybody wondering, I was just gonna plug your course right there.
Oh shoot, I interrupted you plugging my own course. How could I do that?
So guys, definitely check out Matt's course then if you are finding this interesting and you want to learn more. Matt's gonna give us a sneak peek, but for sure check out his course because this stuff is super interesting and you want to learn it from someone else as opposed to taking 5 years trying to figure it out yourself. But yeah, Matt, let's dive into those.
All right, yeah. So I got it pulled up right here. I have cheat sheets for where to hire people from, all that kind of stuff. So it depends. And I basically took what I did here is I took the averages of how much I spend per video and I broke it down depending on the type of video that we're producing here. So when it comes to hiring one person to do everything for a low price, and would be, for example, I have to put a few different guidelines on this as well. This is for 10-minute videos that are general list videos where you don't show your face. So it's basically a 1,800 word script that's also voiced over, that's also edited, and also a thumbnail made for the video as well. So those 4 steps. And if you hire one person to do everything, the low price for that would be about $30 per video. Now, that'll be pretty low quality videos, not the best videos. And if you're in a niche that's not very competitive, that could work potentially. But if you're in a niche that's super competitive, then you're going to want to probably pay more per video because pay more, you'll typically get better quality. Not always, but usually. So the mid price for that would be $60 for a pretty decent quality video. And in most niches, this is what I would recommend paying, like about $60 per video for one person to do everything. And then the high price is $100 per video. This would be like super good quality typically. Now, if you're doing animation channels, you can pay $100 just for a 5-minute video with no voiceover, no script writing whatsoever. So there's definitely channels that cost more than others.
Okay.
And then if you're going to break it up, just to give as much value as I possibly can real quick right here. Average price for a 1,800 word script, $30. Average price for a voiceover that's 10 minutes long, $15. And average price for video editing for a 10-minute long video, $50. And average price for thumbnail design, about $3 per thumbnail. And I want to give a disclaimer out here as well. You can always get lower prices by negotiating long-term contracts with people. So, for example, if you have someone that's doing really great at video editing, you want to lock them in long term. After you build trust with them, first off, work with them on a video by video basis. After you build trust with them, then try to bring up, hey, would you like to do 7 videos at a time on a weekly basis? And if they say yes, then you can typically negotiate a lower pay because you're locking them in for a longer amount of time and they're getting more work. You're getting lower pay. It's a win-win. And then you can start doing 30 days at a time as well and get a lot lower price. So those are some of the benchmarks I look for and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, it's super good, super valuable having those benchmarks because it's so easy to have no idea how much to pay people.
Definitely.
And as you mentioned, like that was a big tipping point for you once you started bringing on people to help you with all this sort of stuff. Okay, nice. Final question would be, okay, so you diversified and created a bunch of different channels. Having known what you know now, would you, if you were to do it again, put all your effort into one channel, or would you still split out all your channels?
That's a great question. Now, initially, I might actually not go into multiple different niches. What I would do initially, knowing what I know now, is I would choose a niche that's so let's say I'm already successful with that first channel in that low CPM niche, right? Even though it's not ideal, I might branch into a niche that's like it. Well, first off, the first lowest hanging fruit, translate the channel. Get like 3 channels up in different languages. We got Spanish, Portuguese, and maybe a different one like Italian, German, something like that. I would look at what Brightside does and just kind of follow that as a benchmark. But first off, I get those translated channels up. And then I would start going into niches that are similar to your niche. And the reason that I would do that, like let's say, for example, you have a finance channel. Then maybe you want to do an investing channel. And then after that, you might want to do a general make money online channel. And then after that, and all these channels can feed each other then. Because otherwise, you have to build them up from the ground up. And this is what I did. Because I just thought, oh, I have a health channel. Now I have to make a automotive channel. And they're not even remotely related. And luckily, some of those channels have been successful, some of them haven't, but it helps to use the leverage you already have and use things like the community tab on your YouTube channel to promote videos on your other channels and using the feature channels tab. And that way you can link all your channels together. They can all feed each other, just like your channel does with individual videos on your channel. You can do that on your entire whole YouTube operation as well. So that would be my biggest recommendation.
Nice. All right. So there's so much value here, so much information for everybody who's looking at one, starting with YouTube, or 2, improving their YouTube efforts. If people want to learn more than this, Matt, this is your time to sort of like say where people can find you, where people can get more info. So take it away, let everybody know how they can get in touch with you or how they can kind of get more involved with what you're doing.
All right. Yeah. If you guys are interested, you can check me out on YouTube at Make Money Matt. Just search Make Money Matt, it'll come up. Also, mattparr.com is my website. I've also got an Instagram at Make Money Matt as well if you guys are interested, want to connect there. And I also have a free training as well that kind of dives deep into all this kind of stuff. I go over exactly how I start YouTube channels, the process that I do, all that kind of stuff. I have a free training on my website. That's again at mattparr.com, and that's spelled mattpar.com. So if you guys are interested, you can check that out. And I really appreciate you having me on here and giving me a chance to share some of my expertise in terms of YouTube.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll link to all that stuff in the show notes so everybody can find that info. But Matt, thank you so much. This has been a super interesting episode. Love learning all this new stuff. Love looking at an industry and kind of like debunking what my kind of like original thoughts are on it, which you've definitely done today. So awesome. And thank you so much for your time.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jack. This is great.
If If you like the show, remember to share it with friends and coworkers. You can also check us out and share past episodes at blitzgrowth.com. Hit subscribe and leave a review letting us know how this podcast has personally helped you and your business. If you have any topics you'd like us to cover, make sure to send us an email via blitzgrowth.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on our next episode.